There are at least 2 black Civil War veterans buried in Forest Hill. Here is Alfred Green, who served with the 3rd United States Colored Heavy Artillery. He was originally from Virginia, so how he came to Eau Claire after the war is unclear. But in any event, he was working in a sawmill in 1870, and most interestingly, he was listed as a guano merchant in the census of 1880. Guano is bat excrement, which in Wisconsin was probably gathered from caves and distributed to farmers to use as fertilizer, distributed by wagon haulers like Green. This was the only kind of job that ex-slaves were able to get after the Civil War, literally shoveling shit. At a point in time when few married white women were in the paid labor force, Alfred's wife, Amanda, was a washerwoman in 1880. Alfred was able to get a disability pension in 1883, and after his death in an accident in 1893, his wife was able to get a widow's pension. These Civil War benefits were the first public welfare system in U.S. history, and while they were limited in many ways, they were a foundation for 20th century public assistance programs.
The grave sites for servicemen and women are among the most recognizable in U.S. cemeteries. The uniformity of these memorials is special. The practice of uniform memorials for servicemen and women dates to before the Civil War. This uniformity and the restrained, simple design memorializes both the individual and the collective sacrifice of servicemen and women. Distinctions of class, race, and ethnicity are eliminated, allowing us to appreciate the sacrifice of each veteran equally. While upright marble gravestones are the most common, variations do exist. Since 1994, and only briefly in the middle of the 20th century, a granite option existed. Also, flat markers in marble, granite, or bronze are available. In lieu of a traditional gravestone or marker, veterans can also request medallions from the VA, which can be affixed to a private memorial signifying their service. In Forest Hill, there are service medals recognizing the conflict associated with veterans interned here. These medallions are not supplied by the VA.
Our other black Civil War veteran is William Brown, who's buried here in Section 27, surrounded by other Civil War veterans in a plot that was donated to the Grand Army of the Republic by the city of Eau Claire for the burial of veterans. The Grand Army of the Republic was the national organization of Civil War veterans, and it was racially integrated, as Brown's burial here shows, although of course there were prejudices against blacks, as there was throughout American society in the late 19th century. Interestingly, Brown served in the same unit as Green, the 3rd Colored Heavy Artillery, although in different batteries. He enlisted on April the 18th, 1865, only days after the assassination of President Lincoln, and he served until April the 30th, 1866. The 3rd Artillery was stationed along the Mississippi River at Fort Pickering, the defensive post for Memphis. When and why he moved to Eau Claire, and whether that move had anything to do with the fact that Alfred Green lived in Eau Claire, is unknown. Indeed, little is known about William Brown for sure after the Civil War, because his name is so common. In any event, Green and Brown were among the approximately 25 African Americans living in Eau Claire in the 1880s, when the city had a population of about 15,000.